having heard that and what you said, the collapse of the Thatcher legacy, we're living in very difficult geopolitical times now. I would argue there is a crisis in Western political leadership. I mean, you've just spoken to a packed US Conservative rally last Saturday in America, declaring that if America fails, we all fail. But with Biden in cognitive decline, what are the odds of that failure with President Xi on the move?
Well, absolutely, and that's one of the great threats that we face. But we face two threats, Alan, don't we? All of us. And one of the reasons I'm coming to Australia is actually the challenges that we face are almost identical across the English-speaking world.
Yes.
The external challenge, of course, is China, more than anything else. But the internal challenges, they're the ones that we can deal with the right level of political leadership. They call it woke. They call it culture wars.
Yes.
Actually, what's really going on here is everything about our nations, our Judeo-Christian roots, our past, our history, our identity is all under attack from the left. The march through the institutions, particularly the educational establishment, the poisoning of the minds of our young children, the telling to a young person of color, you're a victim, and a young person who's white, you are an oppressor. These are all leading us to a catastrophic, divided future.
Absolutely.
And it's being led by hardline Marxists. But, and here's the point that I made at CPAC last weekend, that I'm making every day here on GB News in the UK, and the message I want to bring to Australia. And it's very straightforward, it's very simple, but I believe it's very important. Much of the reason we're in this mess is because Conservatives have not had the courage, the guts,
to get into the ring and fight. To get into the ring and fight. Yeah. To get into the ring and fight. I mean, you talked in America about the need to stand up for the free world, but coronavirus saw people in the so-called free world stripped of the most basic freedoms to the extent that some of those freedoms may never return. And those freedoms were taken away from us in Australia by Conservative governments.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is twofold. Number one, Conservatives need to stand up and fight for what is right and not worry about criticism that comes from mainstream, ultra-liberal media. And number two, and this is even more important and I hope inspiring, take the British Conservative Party, right? It had become completely globalist, utterly useless. I challenged them, and in your kind introduction, I beat them time and time again. They were terrified. If we don't do something, Farage will become Prime Minister, and I would have done. But they adapted, they changed. They went out in 2019 under Boris Johnson with a manifesto that was conservative. We're going to take back control of our country, take back control of our borders. We're going to give you a new kind of more robust politics. And guess what happened? They won.
Oh, landslide.
So when conservative parties, when conservative parties and conservative movements speak not just to inner city elites, but out to ordinary people, they inspire them to vote for them.
Well, can I just say to our viewers, the Liberal people out listening to this, Nigel Farage said in America only at the weekend, when Conservative policies stop being conservative, Nigel said, guess what happens? They lose elections. I'll tell you what, that's the message that Australia have got to embrace.